It is Sunday the 15th of September 2019. I'm in front of the Lakeshore Unitarian Universalist congregation in Lachine, directly across from Lachine High School. I believe it's called Lakeshore Academy now, but it used to be Lachine High School. It's where I went to high school, so somewhat nostalgic location, shall we say. Also a convenient location for me in terms of transportation. The Lakeshore Unitarian Universalist congregation used to be located in Beaconsfield, and it was very difficult to get to by public transportation. There was a bus route, but buses were few and far between. It was a long way. It could easily take an hour and a half to get there, if not 2 hours all told, from downtown Montreal, where I was living at the time. Going some years ago. So they very conveniently moved to Lachine, directly across from Lachine High School. So they're basically, I'd say a 45-minute to 1 hour bus trip, depending on the frequency of the buses that I need to take to get here. So much quicker to get to by bus than the previous location. So I expect to be coming here a couple of Sundays per month to protest. I don't think I'll be here every Sunday. I've never been protesting outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal every Sunday, as Sue Montgomery falsely claimed in court testimony. Well, that's not the only false testimony that Sue Montgomery spouted in her sworn testimony, to say nothing of her false testimony that she spouts in public in not sworn testimony. As far as I'm concerned, Montreal Unitarian clergy abuse cover-up enabler Sue Montgomery is a serial liar, possibly a pathological liar, in light of how she lies when any sane person wouldn't, because it's so easy to prove that she's lying in some cases, like she's totally, completely delusionally false, when she says things like there's no abuse in the Unitarian Church, or there's no sexual abuse in the Unitarian Church, and so on, and various other things, when she makes gross exaggerations like he's everywhere I am or everywhere I go, speaking about me, trying to portray me as a stalker, when in fact I'm, the only places she sees me are public places where I've been going to long before she ever came into the picture. My protest against Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal is the place where Sue Montgomery has seen me the most, and that protest began a year or two or more before she even joined the church. So that protest was already in progress for at least a year, if not more like 2, before Sue Montgomery even started attending the Unitarian Church of Montreal. So I'm not exactly stalking Sue Montgomery if she sees me when I'm protesting outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal. The other place where she saw me a few times was city council meetings, which I was going to and asking questions years before Sue Montgomery entered municipal politics and somehow managed to get herself elected as the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges Notre-Dame-de-Grâce and deputy mayor of Sue Montgomery. Well, she didn't get elected as deputy mayor of Montreal. She was appointed deputy mayor of Montreal by Valérie Plante. She was the first mayor, deputy mayor that Valérie Plante appointed after being elected on November 5th of 2017. But the fact of the matter is, yes, Sue saw me once or twice at Montreal City Council meetings after she was elected, before she had me arrested for criminal harassment. And then she saw me at 1 or 2 NDG, well, yeah, I think at least 2, maybe 2 or 3, shall we say, Côte-des-Neiges Notre-Dame-de-Grâce City Council meetings, and a few Montreal City Council meetings after I was able to get the court conditions reduced, allowing me to go to City Council meetings that are open to the public. That was in February of 2018. I was able to get the court conditions reduced. So she saw me a few times there, but I was going to City Council meetings, asking questions long before Sue Montgomery ever showed up there. So not exactly stalking her by going to City Council meetings and asking questions. Where else did she saw? Well, she saw me once or twice at the courthouse in Montreal, but I was there for other reasons than the fact that she was there. In one case, it was a pure chance encounter, although one that could have been anticipated. There was a vigil on the 6th of December of 2012 outside the Palais de Justice, a vigil basically of women against violence against women on December 6th, the anniversary of the Polytechnic massacre by one Marc Le Pen. So every year it's a vigil against violence against women, and so there was this vigil. I was there and I was documenting it in photos and videos when I saw that Sue Montgomery had come in her capacity as a Gazette reporter to report on it. So since she happened to be there, and since I happen to have my camera, in fact it might have been this very camera here, going back a little while, but maybe not, maybe it's too early for that camera. In any case, I recorded myself telling Sue Montgomery that the Unitarian Universalist Association had falsely accused me of violating Canada's blasphemy law in an effort to intimidate me in removing blog posts about Unitarian Universalist ministers, and indeed a Unitarian Universalist layperson who had been charged, tried, and convicted of pedophilia and or rape. In one case it was definitely a pedophile rapist. In the other case it was a Unitarian Universalist minister who raped teenage Tibetan refugees, so not exactly a pedophile. I believe the scientific term is hebophile. But nonetheless, basically two Unitarian Universalists who had sexually abused and even raped children. The Unitarian Universalist Association was trying to intimidate me into taking down the blog post. I thought this was a good justice issues story that could have been and should have been reported by the Gazette in general and the Gazette's justice reporter in particular. So I brought it to Sue's attention, and of course she totally ignored it, dismissed it, because Sue Montgomery basically had previously refused to report on anything that had to do with the Unitarian Church of Montreal because she was a member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Apparently I wasn't aware of it, but she had actually been a member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal going as far back as 2000. I became aware that she was attending church services at the Unitarian Church of Montreal in the mid-2000s, 2005, give or take a year. But I wasn't aware of any involvement with the Unitarian Church of Montreal prior to that. So basically, you know, her claims that I'm following her are totally ridiculous. Oh yeah, there was a chance encounter which actually prompted her to go to the police in December of 2017. I was waiting for a bus. I can't say where because there's a publication ban, but I was basically waiting for a bus on the corner of a large Montreal boulevard directly across from a very busy Montreal metro station. Basically waiting for a bus to go home, and there's a friend of my brother's who I was chatting with, and I was actually chatting with him about Sue Montgomery's complicity in Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse cover-up efforts, because it was soon after the election of Sue Montgomery as the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. There was even a campaign poster up. I think it might have been the campaign poster that was up that prompted me to talk to him about this. And as I was talking to this person, Sue Montgomery just walked by coming down the cross street, obviously going to the metro station. So as she walked by, I just said, "Oh, we were just talking about you, Sue." And I reminded her that she'd falsely accused me of libel and needed to make amends for that and a few other things. This caused Sue Montgomery to run to the police because she had a pretext that I was near her house. Her house was approximately a half a block away. I did not know at the time that she lived on that particular street. So yes, I was half a block away from her house, but I was standing there waiting for a bus, totally oblivious to where she lived. There's no stalking involved, there's no following involved. I had no idea that she lived on that street. This was pure chance encounter. I even thought it was quite an unusual coincidence, especially when she came by at that particular time. We were specifically talking about her. And good day, sir. We've had a nice chat before.
Good morning.
Well, don't believe everything you read in the Gazette. Or read between the lines of it. So anyway, this is a musician for the church. He's not a member of the Lakeshore Church, but we've had some chats in the past about my protest. So anyway, getting back to Sue Montgomery, she's trying to portray me as stalking her, but I'm doing no such thing. I'm subjecting her to some pretty strong public criticism. I've even protested specifically against her complicity in Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse cover-up efforts, but I've never followed her around. I mean, I've gone to election debates where she would be appearing with picket signs to protest, but the purpose is not to harass Sue Montgomery. The purpose is to inform the public that there's some serious problems with Sue Montgomery. Not there, the picket signs aren't meant for Sue Montgomery to see and be pissed off about. They're there for the public to see and be informed about Sue Montgomery's complicity in clergy abuse cover-up and so on. So again, there's no criminal harassment of Sue Montgomery. There's no stalking of Sue Montgomery. I'm not following around and so on. Any filming of her is often incidental, but on a few occasions it's been perfectly legitimate, such as the one I spoke of, where I wanted evidence, of the fact that I'd asked Sue Montgomery to report a story, and I anticipated she refused. I mean, maybe she would have said yes. That would have been great if she'd said yes. It would have been wonderful, but she didn't. I anticipated she'd say no. I wanted a record of what she said regardless. Whether she said yes or no, I wanted evidence of how she responded to my question, my request that she report on a very newsworthy story. And I got it, and it was... Calling 911? Why? Why are you calling 911? I'm protesting. I have a right to protest. But do call them, and I'm sure the Lachine police will not be very happy with you. So here's this woman, older, red-haired woman. I'm just stating a fact here. I'm not making any implications. I happen to have some good red-headed friends and everything, but nonetheless, so this woman sees me here, basically talking to the camera, standing peacefully, not making a lot of noise, maybe talking a bit loud so the camera can hear me, and she says, I'm calling 911, I'm calling 911, I'm calling the police, I'm going to try and get you arrested, or I'm going to try and get you ticketed. For what? So this, again, comes back to Unitarian Universalist perversion of justice. I just want to make sure this thing's still running. Yes. Okay. So this is typical of how Unitarian Universalists abusively misuse the SPVM police force and the criminal justice system. This is just one example, and that is that they call in bullshit complaints to the police about my protest when what I'm doing is perfectly legal, and it's actually... What? What?
Swear while I'm walking by with my baby.
Did I swear? What did I say?
You just said bullshit.
Bullshit's not exactly a swear word, but... So apparently bullshit's a swear word. I thought it was a description of... Anyway, this woman's objecting to me using the word bullshit when she's walking behind me with her baby. So again, somewhat ludicrous behavior on the part of Unitarian Universalists. I mean, I didn't get a good look at her baby, but her baby, from the size and everything, is probably just a few months old. Probably will never remember this. It's just ridiculous that she would say that. But no, she just has to basically make me the bad guy because I'm swearing. Oh dear, I'm swearing. Well, guess what? Unitarian Universalist ministers can be extremely offensive towards me and towards other people. If she thinks saying bullshit when I'm talking about bullshit is offensive, she should see what some of the Unitarian Universalist ministers say about me and other people. Here's something. Good thing I didn't say this while she was going by with the baby. Here's some words from Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein from some years ago, 2006 I think. Exact words of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, also known as Peace Bang. And this is like a very, very exact quote, maybe slightly off, but essentially this is it. Here's my sodomy fantasy. South Dakota State Senator Bill Napoli anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. This was in a blog post posted to the internet by Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein. So she's basically imagining anally impaling a South Dakota state senator on the Statue of Liberty's torch. That's pretty offensive. And it's very public, and it was posted by Reverend Victoria Weinstein. And guess what? I actually complained about that to the Unitarian Universalist Association, amongst other insulting, inflammatory, and quite frankly, abusive things that Peace Bang had said, and they dismissed my complaint. I mean, any perversion of justice sucks, but it especially sucks when Unitarian Universalists are doing it.
I don't understand.
Well, I could tell you. You want me to tell you? But essentially, Unitarian Universalists, including Unitarian Universalists from this church, misuse the SPVM police force and the criminal justice system to suppress freedom of speech and peaceful public protest. And they pervert justice in other ways. They pervert justice within the church itself. But just a few minutes ago, someone from this church threatened to call 911.
Oh yeah?
And all I'm doing is protesting. Everything I'm doing is perfectly legal, but she threatened to call the police to try and get me arrested or ticketed. That's a perversion of justice. It's a low-end one, but it's a...
Do you go to a different church or anything like that?
I used to go to the Unitarian Church of Montreal until I was kicked out for complaining about clergy abuse and protesting against clergy abuse. And right now I can't because I had court conditions placed on me preventing me from being at the one in NDG, so I'm here. I mean, I've protested at this church before as well, but because I can't protest at the other one, I'll be here more often. Probably twice a month. I'm recording this, yeah. I'm talking, yeah, I'm explaining things to the camera. You can walk, if you want, you know, I can even block, okay, yeah, that's it, yeah, nobody can. Anyhow, I'm not even sure if it's still running. I'll double check.